Okay, so good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the reading of this next, the fifth book in the Bunnicula series. Well, I mean, I know it's like the original series because there were others. It turns out I mean, as I just learned, spin-offs, and we did read through we did read through one such book from one of the spin-offs last time, and in many ways, it just wasn't too good. And of course, if you hadn't seen that yet and you want to check it out, I mean, it was called Howie Monroe and the Doghouse of Doom. So, and you'll find that on my channel. But hey, I mean, no offense intended to you, James Howe. I mean, got nothing but love for you, man. It's I mean, I can't really blame you for not really being able to recapture the spirit of like the original Bunnicula books with things like Howie Monroe and the Doghouse of Doom. Especially considering this is a whole, you're writing from a whole different character's perspective, and Harold Monroe was definitely better than Howie is when it comes to writing. And hey, I know you tried, and it was a distraction. It was a fun little take, but yeah. Anyway, so as you all can tell from the picture in this video, this book is in fact recounting Harold's return to Chateau Bow Wow, which, as Chester came to call, Howliday Inn, and kind of with good reason, because even though Chester is always seen as the paranoid one, and the evil that he suspects going on around him is not really as bad as what he thought. I kind of really don't blame him for being very averse to this place, because I mean, kind of some horrible things tend to go down every time they're there. I mean, this book is going to be about just their second trip ever there, and two strikes in a row, bad things happen. But I think the reason if I may say, I think the reason I like this book as much as Nighty Nightmare, which I said before was my absolute favorite among the Bunnicula books, but this is kind of tied in first place with it. I liked Nighty Nightmare the most for sentimental and nostalgic reasons mostly, but also in particular for I just think for a children's bedtime story that has kind of a sense of horror to it. I think the story that Chester told about Bunnicula's origins were just excellently told, and this one in particular, Return to Howliday, and it's not about a specific thing like the Bunnicula origin story, which had its take on Dracula and everything. But this is Return to Howliday Inn is more about a general sense of adventure. I mean, for seriously lack of a better term, maybe more like a childish sense of wonder that I got. The first several times I kept reading this over and over as a child, and of course, I mean, back then, I loved this book so much as a kid. It was easy to just pick up and read over and over. And I guess gamers, fellow gamers, like the ones who are my channel's core audience, they probably understand what I mean. I hope when I say sense of wonder, it's kind of like just that feeling you have playing beloved games. The first or second times you ever played them, especially RPGs. You just have that sense of wonder about the whole entire adventure through them. So I think that's in general terms, this is why I think this book may compete with Nighty Nightmare for absolute favorite, with the first Howliday Inn in second place. But another thing is, in Return to Howliday Inn, I actually like the cast of characters in Return to Howliday Inn even more than the first, which of course is hard to do. And also just as a kid, I try to imagine yourself as a kid looking at the cover of the book depicted here in the video. I actually found that slightly horrifying, like a lot of the imagery in Nighty Nightmare and the first Howliday Inn. It's definitely, it's got a creepy feel to it. I mean, and I can't really describe how to look at this picture other than from the eyes of a child. Even after what actually happens in Return to Howliday Inn, it just, everything just looks so evil about this cover. It's like there's like this sense of desperation in Chester. He's trying to get the attention of somebody inside this haunted house looking structure, which of course is supposed to represent Chateau Bow Wow, I'm sure. And Howie's Howie's furtive looking over his shoulder, like, I don't think it's like the Harold, Chester, and Howie in this picture, these three, they don't know whether the evil that they're trying to run from or calling out for help for, if it's behind them, behind Howie, who's looking back, or in front of Chester, that Chester wonders all the while, Chester and Harold wonder all the while if they are looking to the wrong source of help, by this shadowy figure within, if which I guess might be intended to represent Dr. Greenbrier, who is of course back in this book. If he's the source of it all, if they might actually be running headlong into the actual source of the danger that they're trying to escape. And of course, just this font that is used for the title of Return to Howliday Inn, it's definitely got a creepy look to it. So yeah, this is definitely an excellent Bunnicula book in a lot of ways. But of course, for first time readers, I would recommend you read through the first Howliday Inn before this one, because there's a lot of references back to it and everything. And may I also add for the listeners to my channel who are gamers and might have possibly been watching the recent Evil Within series that I've been doing. I know I broke off from the Evil Within 2 like two or 3 weeks ago. Definitely not uploading videos on that one anymore at the same pace. But I mean, I just took a break away from that for a while purposefully because other things on Steam, especially Final Fantasy 15, which I just recently bought. I want to get through all that first before going back to the Evil Within 2. But fear not, if you have been watching, I will be getting back to it. I definitely intend to finish it because it's not like I think the game sucks or anything. I'm actually really enjoying it right now. But other things, took my attention away and want to take care of them first. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin with Return to Howliday Inn. It was summer and I was getting ready for a 3-day weekend at the shore. Looking around my office for something to read, I picked up a manuscript that had come in earlier that week from one of my authors, Pickling for Profit and Pleasure. It was clear a title change would be in order, but that aside, it just didn't strike me as beach material. I debated between 2 other manuscripts, a book by a country veterinarian called Just a Little Horse and What to Do About It, and a 700-page first novel entitled Life. Thoroughly discouraged, I told myself I'd pick up a couple of Agatha Christie mysteries at the train station. But then there came a scratching at the door, and my weekend reading dilemma was solved. For there on the other side stood my old friend and valued author Harold X, an enticing manila envelope gripped between his teeth. Gently, he laid it into my hands, and before I could so much as ask if he joined me for a bowl of cappuccino at the trendy little cafe that had just opened up across the street, he was gone. With eager anticipation, I opened the envelope and read the letter clipped to his manuscript. My dear editor and friend, enclosed, please find my latest effort. As in the past, it is based on real events from my life and the lives of my family, the Monroes, and my friends Chester and Howie. Bunnicula was staying with a neighbor at the time these particular episodes occurred. He was fortunate to have been elsewhere, for this was a terrifying adventure indeed. As an old and tired dog, I could do well without such adventures. But as an author, how can I be anything but thankful for them? After all, I doubt your readers would be terribly interested in a mystery called Why is My Food Dish Empty? And so, here's the story of my fateful return to the place Chester once dubbed Howliday Inn. As always, I look forward to your response to my work and, I hope, its eventual publication. Yours sincerely, Harold X. I tucked Harold's manuscript between the sunblock and bug spray in my tote bag. I was ready for my weekend, or so I thought. If only I'd packed a nightlight.